Imagine workers are digging to fix a broken water pipe, like they've done 100 times before. And suddenly, they hit stone steps that haven't seen sunlight in nearly 2,000 years. They had uncovered the Pool of Siloam, a place straight out of the Bible. It wasn't just any pool. This pool was the one where, according to the Gospel of John, Jesus healed the blind man. This location was once believed to be lost in legend. And now, it was real. You could touch the steps. You could see the water channels. You could walk into history. This isn't just about old stones and broken pottery. This discovery shakes the foundation of belief and proof. For a long time, many said the Pool of Siloam was just a story, a nice symbol, but not real. Others believed it had to exist, but no one could prove where. The find brought something spiritual into the physical world. The Pool of Siloam is mentioned in the New Testament, in a story where Jesus gives sight to a man who had been blind since birth. According to the Bible, Jesus made mud with his spit, placed it on the man's eyes, and told him to wash in the Pool of Siloam. The man did, and came back with his vision fully restored. That one moment turned the pool into something sacred, something bigger than a regular bath or waterhole. It became a symbol of transformation, healing, and divine power. But over time, people lost track of where the pool actually was. Over time, layers of earth, stone, and centuries of history buried it. Many eventually believed it had vanished forever. A simple construction job led to the discovery of 2 ancient stone steps in the city of David, a historic part of Jerusalem. The discovery made a profound impact on archaeologists Eli Shukran and Ronnie Reich. The steps were part of a massive stone pool, buried and forgotten. The size alone was shocking, over 225 feet long, enough to hold thousands of pilgrims at once. But what really caused the stir wasn't just the size. It was what was found in and around the pool: coins from the time of King Alexander Jannaeus, around 100 BC, fragments of pottery, and ancient plaster still holding moisture. It all lined up perfectly with the timeline from the Bible. This pool wasn't just a nice spot to cool off. It was part of a huge system of religious and civic life in ancient Jerusalem. Back in the day, thousands of Jews would make pilgrimages to the temple. But before entering, they needed to purify themselves in water. That's where the Pool of Siloam came in. It was a mikveh, a ritual bath. From there, the pilgrims would walk up the pilgrimage road, a stone path leading directly to the Temple Mount. So the mission wasn't just about healing a blind man. The pool was the gateway to spiritual readiness, where people prepared their hearts and minds to meet God. These discoveries reveal that there is much more to the biblical story than you ever imagined, truths that have been kept secret for centuries, waiting for the right moment to be discovered. And now, as old certainties are put to the test, finding clarity and understanding can completely redefine your faith journey. That's exactly what Forgotten Prophecies, the apocalyptic revelations that can change your future, offers. A path of guidance and wisdom through little explored biblical revelations, pointing to what really awaits us. This ebook delves deep into the prophecies and provides insights into tomorrow, and best of all, it's available for free. Click the link in the first comment and secure yours now before this opportunity is gone. Even though archaeologists found the pool in 2004, it stayed mostly covered. The Greek Orthodox Church owned part of the land, and legal and political complications tangled the rest. For almost 2 decades, only parts of the pool were visible. But then, in 2023, something huge happened. The Israeli Antiquities Authority, along with the City of David Foundation, announced they would finally excavate the entire pool, and eventually open it to the public. For the first time in modern history, we'd get to see the full site that Jesus walked into. And that's when the Israeli government got involved. Archaeology is no longer the sole focus. It's about politics, religion, and control. The pool is located in East Jerusalem, a highly sensitive area that both Israelis and Palestinians claim. The City of David Foundation, one of the groups backing the excavation, has a strong interest in establishing a Jewish presence in the area. Therefore, uncovering the pool was more than just a spiritual revelation. It was a political statement. It drew attention from religious leaders, historians, political analysts, even foreign governments. That was the moment when the narrative of a blind man washing his eyes evolved into a contemporary battleground of identity, belief, and history. Both Israelis and Palestinians claim East Jerusalem, where the pool is located. And the excavation wasn't just about uncovering the past, it was about staking a claim to it. The City of David Foundation, an organization that not only funds archaeology but also a political mission, sponsored the dig. Their goal is to strengthen Jewish roots in East Jerusalem, a part of the city with a majority Palestinian population. That makes the excavation of the Pool of Siloam not just historical but explosive. Remember, the ebook that reveals even more about these little-known prophecies is still available for download. But act quickly, only a few copies remain. Don't miss out on the chance to discover what could revolutionize your understanding of the future. Every coin, every carved step, every biblical reference pulled from the earth serves as evidence, not just of history, but of ownership. When Zeev Orenstein, Director of International Affairs at the City of David Foundation, described the dig, he didn't call it a discovery. He called it proof of millennial Jewish and Christian ties to Jerusalem, not just as a matter of faith, but as a matter of fact. It turns scripture into strategy. The Pool of Siloam was built over 2,700 years ago, during the reign of King Hezekiah, who created a water system to protect Jerusalem's supply from invading Assyrian forces. Water flowed into the pool from the Gin Spring, carried by the now famous Hezekiah's Tunnel, a marvel of ancient engineering. Later, during the time of Jesus, around 29 CE, the pool served as a mikveh, a ritual bath for Jewish pilgrims preparing to ascend to the temple. And then, buried and forgotten, the pool was only partially excavated for decades because much of the land sat under Greek Orthodox Church property. Now, in 2023, a full excavation is underway. People are calling it the first modern, official unveiling of the entire biblical pool. Tourists will soon be able to walk the same route as pilgrims did thousands of years ago, from the Pool of Siloam up the pilgrimage road to the Western Wall. The miracle mentioned in John chapter 9 isn't just about vision, it's about transformation. Jesus didn't choose the Pool of Siloam randomly. He sent the man there on purpose. In those days, water wasn't just for drinking. It had deep symbolic meaning. Cleansing with water meant purity, readiness, and rebirth. People took this step before entering sacred spaces such as the temple. Because of his blindness, the man couldn't enter sacred places. By healing him at that pool, Jesus didn't just restore his sight, he restored his place in society. They found coins from around 100 BC, bits of pottery, and old plaster lining the pool's edge. These details mattered. They corresponded precisely with the timeline of the miraculous narrative. Slowly, the puzzle pieces began fitting together. A place once thought to be myth was now real, and the evidence was undeniable. The site wasn't just any water reservoir. Hezekiah's Tunnel and the Gin Spring, Jerusalem's most vital water source, linked the pool to a highly engineered water system. Ancient builders had carved tunnels through solid rock, redirecting water to this pool. The design was so advanced, it still amazes engineers today. Don't forget that the gateway to these life-changing revelations is just a click away. Secure your copy of the ebook. Forgotten Prophecies, the apocalyptic revelations that can change your future. Now before it's too late, they are limited. No bulldozers. No GPS. They relied solely on hammers, chisels, and an unparalleled understanding of the terrain. These weren't just builders, they were engineers, hydrologists, and architects, all rolled into one. The tunnel connected to the pool wasn't just for function. It was precision built to carry water at the right speed and volume, enough to serve thousands of people. Still, not everyone agrees on what it proves. Some argue that just because the pool existed, that doesn't mean miracles did. And they're right, it doesn't prove a miracle happened. What it does demonstrate, however, is that the story was not manufactured. The narrative wasn't created arbitrarily. A significant event occurred in that location. If this pool were real, if this moment of healing really did take place in the exact spot described in Scripture, what else from those stories might be true? This discovery doesn't end the debate between belief and skepticism, but it does shift the conversation. It gives weight to the stories once called legends. It challenges us to rethink where we draw the line between fiction and fact. The Pool of Siloam wasn't just a holy site or a place tied to miracles. It was a technological feat, built by hands and minds that understood something we often forget: survival depended on water, and water depended on intelligence. Let's go back to around 700 BC, the time of King Hezekiah, ruler of the ancient kingdom of Judah. Jerusalem was under threat from the powerful Assyrian Empire, and one of the king's top priorities was protecting the city's water supply. Back then, the Gihon Spring was the only natural water source feeding Jerusalem. But it sat outside the city walls, exposed to enemies. That was a huge risk. So Hezekiah did something bold. He ordered his builders to dig a tunnel, through bedrock, with only rudimentary tools, to bring the spring water safely into the city. That tunnel, later called Hezekiah's Tunnel, is still standing. It stretches about 1,750 feet and winds beneath the city, ending at the Pool of Siloam. But here's the astonishing part. Two teams started digging at opposite ends of the tunnel, and met in the middle. Without satellites. Without lasers. Just measurements, planning, and pure determination. That level of precision, for that time period, is nearly unbelievable. And it didn't end there. Engineers had to create a place to collect and store the rerouted water. That's when the Pool of Siloam was expanded, not just for daily use, but to serve thousands of pilgrims during high holy days. The pool's design was clever. It had multiple tiers of stairs, each one allowing people to bathe no matter how high or low the water level was. Don't miss out on the opportunity to secure your free ebook, packed with never-before-seen revelations. Act now. There are only a few copies left to uncover the mysteries that await you. This wasn't a stagnant pond, it was an active water system. A place where people could purify themselves before ascending the Temple Mount. It was practical and sacred all at once. These workers didn't just dig holes. They had to understand water pressure, flow direction, and natural rock formations. They chiseled through stone without cracking it, angled tunnels without causing flooding, and created openings to release or guide water across long distances. This was engineering centuries ahead of its time. And they didn't stop there. Long before Hezekiah's time, another system existed, what archaeologists now call the Canaanite Tunnel, likely built around the Middle Bronze Age, nearly 4,000 years ago. Connected to the Gihon Spring, this earlier tunnel demonstrates the ancient Jerusalemites' skillful water management for generations. The older system had intake shafts, ventilation points, and collection basins. It moved water across rough terrain by using only slope and gravity, long before computers and other formal math tools were made. They carved the stone smooth, shaped it to prevent leaks, and angled it to maximize irrigation for farmland in the Kidron Valley. It's easy to look at stone ruins and think, primitive. But in truth, what they built required a level of planning and persistence we rarely consider. These discoveries force us to rethink our timeline of progress. The ancients weren't lucky. They weren't guessing. They were problem solvers, engineers, architects, hydrologists, and city planners rolled into one. Their survival depended on it. When archaeologists uncovered more sections of the Pool of Siloam, including new staircases and expanded walkways, they realized just how large the original pool truly was. It likely spanned over 1.25 acres, about the size of 2 Olympic swimming pools. That's not just ceremonial. That's infrastructure. Even the pool's shape, a soft trapezoid, was likely intentional, designed to adapt to shifting water flow and accommodate crowds. It was lined with stone and waterproof plaster, and coins embedded in the steps helped date the repairs to different times, such as the reign of Alexander Jannaeus and the years before the Romans took over Jerusalem in 70 CE. The Pool of Siloam is already connected to the Pilgrimage Road, a recently uncovered ancient path that leads uphill from the pool all the way to the Temple Mount, the most sacred site in Judaism. This road is long, wide, and paved with heavy limestone slabs. Remember to join our community by subscribing to this channel. Here's the thing. When researchers mapped this road and started connecting it to other underground features, including cisterns, mikvehs, drainage channels, and ritual installations, a new theory started forming. In ancient Jerusalem, the temple wasn't just a religious site, it was a political, financial, and national symbol. During Second Temple times, hundreds of thousands of people could pour into the city during pilgrimage festivals like Passover. The city needed not only spiritual systems, but also security systems. Some people now think that the underground tunnels, like Hezekiah's tunnel, which leads to the Pool of Siloam, were part of a bigger system that was used to control who could get to what and how resources were used, both during war and peace. In fact, historical records from Jewish historian Flavius Josephus, who lived during the Roman siege of Jerusalem in 70 CE, mention escape routes, hidden passages, and underground stores beneath the city. The King's Garden, a church-owned orchard, currently covers a portion of the Pool of Siloam that archaeologists say remains unexcavated. It's been off-limits for years. That means we've never seen the entire structure. Some people think there might be lower chambers, which could be sealed rooms or tunnels that could still hold sacred objects, structural clues, or even records like stone inscriptions or sealed vessels. If that's true, the pool we know today might only be the top layer of something much deeper, physically and symbolically. Beyond archaeology, some biblical theorists and mystics suggest that the Pool of Siloam was more than functional. It was a threshold between the earthly and the divine. In Jewish tradition, living water is a symbol of divine connection. Jesus chose this spot to do a miracle, where a man not only gained sight but also spiritual understanding. This supports the idea that this spot was picked for a reason. Some theologians even suggest that Siloam was a metaphorical gate, the final step before entering the presence of God in the temple. In that view, cleansing at the pool wasn't just physical, it was a spiritual initiation, and the road from the pool to the temple was like walking from the outer world into sacred space. That transforms the entire journey, from bath to altar, into a ritual theater of sorts, with the pool as the curtain rising. Because if the Pool of Siloam is part of a greater hidden system, something that has never been fully revealed, then the discoveries made so far are only scratching the surface. Are you enjoying the story? Support our channel by clicking the subscribe button. No one could have predicted what they would unlock when they first uncovered the stones. What started as a burst water pipe became a gateway into the past, and with it, a new chapter in the search for meaning, truth, and belonging. If you're enjoying this story, consider clicking super thanks. Your support helps us keep uncovering powerful stories like this and sharing them with the world. This discussion isn't about archaeology alone. It's not just bricks and dirt and pottery. It's about the conversations we're still having today, about faith, evidence, history, and identity. As we peel away each layer, we're not merely comprehending the events that transpired. We're asking why it still matters. The Pool of Siloam is proof that ancient people were not just survivors, they were visionaries. They carved life into stone. They built with purpose. They prepared spaces not just for the body but for the soul. They created paths that led to temples, but also to transformation. When Jesus told the blind man to wash in that pool, it was about more than physical healing. It was about visibility. It was about enabling someone who had been marginalized to reintegrate into their community. Not only did he see the world around him for the first time, but he also saw himself. That story, of renewal, of acceptance, is just as powerful today. Parts of the pool remain hidden, unexcavated. The water's original route is still unclear. Beneath the orchard beside the dig, secrets may still sleep beneath untouched soil. Political barriers and land disputes mean some discoveries may never be revealed. And that's the tension. We're close, but not quite there. That should give us hope. If a sacred object can emerge from centuries underground, perhaps we can also resurrect other things we've abandoned, such as truth, understanding, and even unity. This discovery should make us ask hard questions, not only about the past, but about the future we're building right now. Thanks for watching. Join our community by subscribing to this channel. Until the next video.